Salut à toutes et à tous et bienvenue dans Story Série, saison 4, épisode 4. Cette semaine, on parle de rédemption, de vulnérabilité, d'addiction, de volonté, de pardon et de l'importance de la famille. Sortez vos mouchoirs.
Do you know who this is? Oh, it's me. Joseph. I am honestly not there. It's me. Joe, you're right.
That's my brother. That's my brother.
Zeno, it's me. It's me. Joe, no one there knows me.
Oh, Joe.
Hey.
L'anglais Shane Meadows pourrait être vu comme une sorte de David Simon anglais. Il raconte son pays avec un réalisme presque douloureux, se concentrant sur son vécu pour présenter la société dans toute sa violence et sa dureté. Celui qui a grandi parmi une bande de skinheads dès l'âge de 12 ans a collectionné les prix en Angleterre grâce au film autobiographique This is England, sorti en 2006, puis décliné en une série de 3 saisons absolument sublimes qui arracherait des larmes aux plus coriaces. Dans The Virtues, c'est une autre partie de sa vie qu'il raconte, un secret enfoui depuis des décennies qu'il a décidé de partager.
You're gonna be alright. It's me you're talking to. Are you sure? You're not gonna. No.
La série a tant bouleversé le jury de Série Mania l'an dernier qu'elle a remporté le Grand Prix et celui de meilleur acteur pour l'immense Stephen Graham, qui incarne Joseph, un homme alcoolique en quête de rédemption. Depuis 2006, l'acteur anglais n'oublie jamais de retrouver Shane Meadows, devenu son réalisateur fétiche depuis leur rencontre sur This is England, entre 2 tournages hollywoodiens avec Martin Scorsese, Michael Mann ou pour HBO. Nous avons rencontré Shane Meadows et Hélène Bihan, actrice formidable qui faisait ses débuts devant la caméra.
In your fictions, male characters are really different from what we used to seeing because they are vulnerable, they are fragile. Joseph is the most fragile character of the show, and I think it's very, even today, kind of rare and unique.
Yeah, and I think growing up in a very male-dominated environment, being part of a skinhead culture when I was a kid, it's a bravado, and I wanted to be attached to it so I could have the bravado, because I was being bullied as a kid, really badly bullied. And then all of a sudden I see these guys with their shaved heads and these braces, and they look like soldiers. You know, as a kid, I'm 11 years old, and everyone's scared of them. They've got these boots on, you know, they look like a sort of, like they're from an army, or so. I wanted to be protected. I soon learned that even the older ones had come from slightly damaged so, and when you see it from the inside and you kind of realise that, you know, you're only usually drawn to that if there's a piece missing or a weakness inside yourself. So I kind of realised, I went in and I was like, they were my idols, but then you kind of realise you go through and you grow up with them and you realise they were from broken homes, a lot of them, you know.
Yeah, and you make those characters.
Yeah.
Would you like to go for a drink later on?
I don't drink.
Yeah. Get your lemonade, you know.
I've just moved in with my sisters and that.
Yeah, look. The reason I'm asking, and I might be wrong, but I think I know you, Joe.
I've never met you, mate. You might have me mixed up with someone else. I'm not from around here.
What made you want to become a storyteller?
I kind of grew up in a very small but a very crazy town where I didn't realise it at the time when I was growing up, but literally everyone that lived there was kind of quite colourful. And I was, as a kid kind of growing up, everyone, it's like the town of nicknames. There's all these people, every single person, you never knew anyone by their first name. Yeah. They all had nicknames, a bit like This is England.
What were yours?
Box, short for chatterbox, because I never stopped talking.
Okay.
And so I grew up in this place, and it wasn't really. People would always get me to recite something mental that had happened as friends. You know, they'd always get my version of events because it would probably, you know, be added to and made to sound a little bit better than it was. That I think, you know, that there was always a storyteller in me.
I discovered your work with This Is England, the movie, and then the TV series, and I realized how personal the story you tell are personal towards you or towards people you've known. And I was wondering, as a human being and as a filmmaker, what does it do to you to tell those personal stories?
The education system which I grew up in, it's different now, but when I grew up, if you weren't good at sports, science, English or maths, there kind of wasn't, you know, there was nothing else. Like, you know, now my kids have grown up in a world where you can do photography, acting, you can do painting, you can, there's so many, you know, I kind of got missed. I was part of a generation that got missed, and I was an artist. I didn't know I was. I was a little small-time criminal, but somewhere buried within there was an artist that maybe, you know, didn't really, you know, find a voice under a government and a society in general where you were made to think that you really weren't worth anything. You know, that kind of gave me a fire in my belly, I think, to when I finally got the opportunity. I took it with both hands, and I always thought I was worth more than what I'd been told.
Shane Meadows est le genre de personne qui n'oublie pas d'où il vient et le nombre d'années qu'il a mis à laisser exister l'artiste qui dormait en lui. Alors quand il a rencontré Hélène Bihan dans un pub irlandais pendant ses vacances, il n'a pas hésité à lui donner sa chance en tant qu'actrice, même si elle ne connaissait rien au métier.
My mum died, our mum, and our dad, and we went to a special house for little boys and girls.
An orphanage?
Kind of.
Oh.
Yeah.
And Nana Francis and Granda Tom came to visit that house, and they brought me home with them.
How come they didn't take Uncle Joe? Who took care of him?
I did some plays at school, and I was always the lead, and I always loved doing it. And then I grew up and I had 4 children and became a nurse, and it just kind of didn't happen.
Yeah.
And so when we arrived out one night and my friend said to me, that's Shane Meadows at the bar, I just thought, this is the gods, this is fate, this is somebody saying to you, take this chance. And so I asked him and he said, can you act? And I said, I have no idea. I knew I could, but I wasn't going to tell him that. And he said, give me your details. And true to his word, fair play to him, he rang me 2 months later and said, come for an audition. So I was so delighted. I was washing dishes in the kitchen and put down the phone. I was jumping up and down, delighted. And then I thought, oh, Christ, what have I done? I don't know what I'm doing. And then more panic because, oh, God, there's going to be cameras. Real. I don't know what I'm doing, you know. But he just created such a, this'll be fine, under my wing, you know, kind of. He totally took care of me, said, don't stress out, don't worry, I'm going to be here. I'll talk you through everything.
Was it a scary role? Because it's very heavy emotionally.
Yes, of course. I looked at it and my initial feeling was, wow, the rehearsal was like group therapy. We used to sit around and I'd say this happened to me, and then Stephen would tell one and Shane would tell one. We'd all be just sobbing by the end of it. But all these stories were coming out and we were building the emotional background of these people through our own stories and our own events and our own lives.
I don't even know where to start.
What is it in his work that you liked, that attracted you, made you want to work with him?
The fact that it was unlike anything I had ever seen. It seemed like somebody was walking around the street with a camera catching people. Yeah. You know, I knew it was a dramatization, but it just didn't look or feel like that. And I thought that it was so unique. Anybody who does that is just sublime at their job, you know.
As a French viewer, I've always felt like British fictions are the best and the most truthful, real, raw, honest, everything.
Yes, that's exactly what the thing is. It's not tidied up with a bow. You know, it doesn't always choose, you know, the most aesthetically pleasing faces. so more people can relate. They think, I could do that, or that's me, that looks like me. You know, when you see beautiful Julia Roberts or Margot Robbie or all these beautiful women, you think that's unattainable, that's Hollywood, that's, you know, it doesn't appeal to you as much on a second depth level as looking at some woman at her kitchen table having a breakdown because her husband's left or for whatever reason. That drama, and particularly in the way Shane does it, and certainly British drama and some Irish drama, are at the heart of it. No matter what happens, especially with this, with the virtues, the themes in it are global, and they are everybody has been heartbroken, everybody has had loss. You know, these are themes that maybe Hollywood deals with in a tidy way that British drama doesn't. It gives you the whole bare thing, warts and all, and I think people love that. I love that.
All this stuff started coming back.
Have I been in there?
Yeah. Yeah. It all started to make sense.
You tend to give a voice to all those people everybody told you're nothing. And what I love in The Virtues is that your main character, Joe, is an alcoholic, and you feel that he's always felt as an outsider and is looking for redemption, and the look you put on him and you make us have on him is full of empathy and love, and we accompany him with this struggle, and I'm always surprised of how much empathy you give to your characters.
I think so much of it's about viewpoint and about sitting on the shoulder of the person. So, so it's about seeing it from his side. I think it's a case of, especially, you know, where Joseph's concerned, I wanted to tell a story where, you know, because I think we can all get better, you know, if the bad things have happened in your life, you know, whatever's brought you to an addiction to a substance or whether it be to alcohol. I love the idea of a guy that had fixed himself but just a little bit too late.
You know, things have changed now. You know, you've got David now and you've got your mum. And you'll always have me. Do you know what I mean? I'm your dad, you'll always have me. Hey, come here. Okay.
The performance of Stephen Graham is just, it's mind-blowing. I'd like to know how you work with actors. How do you drive them? What do you tell them to make them so vulnerable they give everything?
Yeah, usually we sort of sit down and it starts. I mean, myself and Stephen have got quite a special relationship, and I think, you know, a lot of those relationships are quite sort of tempestuous or volatile or whatever. But me and Stephen, we worked together, and on This Is England when I first cast him, and I offered him the part, and it was a very difficult part, and it was basically a very racist, right-wing guy, and Stephen got the part, was unbelievable in the part, and I realised I'd met an incredibly special person. And so when it come to playing Joseph, initially when I cast it, he was so busy I couldn't even get him in, and we kept looking at other people, some really, really talented actors, that it just never quite worked out. And then in the end, he came free and he came available because he's just done the Martin Scorsese epic Irishman. When you work with Stephen and he turns up on your set, you don't feel like he's ever done another job before he got there, and that's what makes him special. And so this was one of those characters that I knew if anyone could get people to, I say, fall in love with somebody that appears to be quite broken, it was going to be him.
Story Série, c'est terminé. La semaine prochaine, on parlera séries musicales, politique et pop culture. Après les larmes, la danse, ça nous remontera le moral. Allez, à la semaine prochaine.